Welcome back to everyone who's hitting up the review video for this particular LEGO kit, as well as a big hello to everyone who's checking out this video for the first time. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. So for this video we'll be going through a review of the I Am Groot set, and this is set 76217 from the Infinity Saga subline of the Marvel superheroes. And LEGO being LEGO, of course this was released by LEGO, and this was around the Q3 mark of 2022. So I will have a card to actually reference back to the original unboxing of the I Am Groot set. It has been some time, but yes, definitely follow the card or the link, possibly in both, if you're curious about what everything looked like before it was all put together. But otherwise, for this particular video, we'll be just going through more of the review of the set. Now, before I forget, a huge shout out to Alarm Red Media. And I will definitely include a link to a particular video. I will probably include a link and an and to their YouTube channel. But there was a particular video series called The Joy of Bricking with Brick Ross, where the video is basically going through a unboxing and build of the I Am Groot set. And the reason why this set was so delayed was because I actually wanted the time to build it with the video. So finally had that done. Took 2 sessions, but obviously it's why we're here. But definitely a huge shout out to Alarm Red Media. Thank you very much for doing that video. It was extremely relaxing and enjoyable. I look forward to future build videos with you as well. I do know you've got Optimus Prime slated in the future, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But yes, it was an amazing video. I would recommend those who want to pick up a I Am Groot set, build with the video. I did my 2 sessions, I think it was a Thursday and a Friday night. Was it a Friday and a Saturday? I can't remember. It was the tail end of a week. And I've found building the set along with having the video on in the background was really relaxing and calming. And the video has a few funny moments in it as well. So please do check out the video. It's a really amazing video. And I look forward to seeing what other videos they come up with. Anyway, that's been a lot of preamble for this particular review. So hopefully we will just jump into things. So this is pretty much everything that is either built or left over from the set. So the main item obviously being Groot himself, or more to the point, a version of Baby Groot. We have a nice little sticky label, which we'll go through in a little bit. We have a nice little add-on of a Awesome Mix Volume 1 and 2 cassette tape, which obviously does go back some time. Obviously the manual is still there, and as an indication, this is pretty much the leftover pieces from the set. So it's actually not too bad. A lot of these pieces you would expect because they're just that extra one piece in the event something does go missing. I do feel that there's probably a few pieces in there that maybe could have been used. I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'll have to go back through and see, but yeah, basically for me anyway, this is the leftover pieces. So what do we have? So manual, I'm not going to go through the manual. Going through the manual is pretty much in the unboxing video, so definitely check that out if you want to get a bit more of an insight into that. Spare parts, we already talked about it, so they can move to the side. So before we get to Groot, so this is just the little label for the set, just a basic big black sticker on a large black piece with some stats for Groot, and unsurprisingly everything is answered with I am Groot. Or in the case of the last three, some different phonetics of I am Groot, and I suspect tone. But yes, pretty much a nice little sticker as a way to label the set. I guess it's basically a placard. So that's that. Put that to the side. Can we just do that? Yes, we can. Yeah, as for the little awesome mixtape, so it's just a nice little inclusion that I thought was quite cool. It does make me wonder if Groot can actually hold it. So we have the Awesome Mix Volume 2 side and the Awesome Mix Volume 1. Some of these are obviously stickers. So that, and that is a sticker. Likewise, same thing on the opposite side. I will admit, at initial glance, it actually does look like an old school cassette. Suffice to say, if I handed this to someone, they'd probably need a double take to realise it wasn't the real thing. Or depending on which way you gave it to them, if you gave it to them like that, you would notice. But I think this is a very nice inclusion for the set. It's definitely in theme for the Guardians. And I do like, especially with the inside bit, how they have tried to give it a bit more of that lifelike, detailed look as well. So that is that. So pretty much putting that over there. Now, showcase. Actually, what I'll do is, can I put these over there? Yes, I can. So, Baby Groot. Now, Baby Groot does stand. I guess if I do that, you can just pretty much just look down Baby Groot and realize that yes, he is standing. So, given that I built this alongside with the aforementioned Rick Ross video, it was about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer. So it definitely wasn't a super short build, but it wasn't super duper long either. So it was definitely quite an enjoyable build. And I will admit, I think it probably does take about half an hour for each bag. I do remember I finished off bag 1, which was probably within 40 minutes, and then bags 2 and 3 I did in the same sitting, which together would have been an hour, so maybe a bit more than an hour and a half. But here we have the fully built Baby Groot. So pretty much the front of Baby Groot, maybe Toddler Groot, either. That's the front. One of his sides, his back, his other side, and then back to his front again. So surprisingly, it does hold up quite well. I'll save a few of my thoughts for the tail end of the video, but as a overall set build, I'd say, especially given it's a more of a biological type look and not a mechanical one, they've done Baby Groot quite well. Having done a lot of the Lego mechs from the Marvel series, yes, there's a few commonalities within this particular instance of Groot, but there's also a few things that are actually quite different. Then again, you also have differences in scale, so that was obviously an interesting thing. So overall, a very impressive build. Yes, there are a reasonable number of stickers to help bring out some of the detailing. So just looking at his main body here, so this sticker and that sticker, well, obviously stickers, and there are a few stickers here, some stickers on his feet, a few stickers on the front of his head. We also have a sticker on the back of his head and his back. Surprisingly enough, the eyes are not stickers. Those are actual parts that came like that. So now that we've had a look at Groot, I guess in terms of articulation, what does he actually have? So his head is on a ball joint. So his head, this is going to probably look a little bit creepy. Can obviously move side to side. Can move front and back. Now I have actually pulled the head out a little bit, so if you have it pushed all the way towards his body, you don't have as much movement. But I will say now, his head does have some weight to it. It's not a light head. So bear in mind when you're doing some of these motions, especially if you pull out the head. I guess you can probably see bits of the socket there. As you can see, his head is already decided to flop backwards. But surprisingly enough, even though there's a lot of back heaviness in his head, he still will stand and not fall over. But yes, you can move his head around side to side and things like that, up and down, side to side. You will not get a full 360 with his head. He does have some joints in there, well, not so much joints, but just a little bit of, I dare say, neck support that will prevent the full 360, especially given that it will usually collide with some of those bits. In fact, it'll pretty much collide with his mouth reel. So I'll just slide his head back down. His mouth in this state doesn't really move. It is pretty much permanently open like that. So that's his head. In terms of his arms can pretty much do a nice 360 at the shoulder. In terms of the upper arm, he does have another 360 join there. And then he has another 360 at his wrist. Actually, I dare say that's probably his elbow. So movement at the shoulder, elbow, and the wrist. His digits can also move as well, so he can do some interesting little movements with his fingers on his hand. His hand will move around. Can also move up and down like that as well. Can't move side to, well, can move side to side a little bit, but it will hit this side of the joint. But going up and down is definitely quite easy, and that joint is pretty much replicated within the rest of the shoulder and the elbow. So definitely not too bad amount of articulation in his arms. There are some slight differences between his arms as well, so he's not purely symmetrical, which is cool. It does mean that there's some nice variation during the build. Plus you can also see that lack of asymmetry in his chest. In terms of his torso area, his body, well, his torso can do a full 360. So yes, if you want to be a little bit creepy, you can definitely do that. But that does mean if you did want to pose Groot, you can actually move him around on his waist. So that was his waist looked at. In terms of his legs, so his legs can go that way to the front, obviously straight down as expected, and can go pretty much that way or to the back. Whether he can support his own body weight on a single foot, I actually haven't tried. I might have to go back and try it, in fact. Yes, he can actually. You do have to jiggle him around just to find the right balancing point for all his weight distribution. But yes, granted you're looking down and can't really believe me, but he can actually do it. So I might have to try and get some pictures of this for Instagram just to prove that he can stand on one leg without any additional help. But anyway, back to his leg articulation. That's all, obviously all the way back. can't really do any much side to side, unfortunately, just the way that the joint has been done, which is okay. Given some of the bulk in his head, you probably do want these leg joints to be somewhat stable. Otherwise, they would probably be the first point of failure with all the top half of his weight. So that's the top of his legs. He does have some knee bending, so this particular joint here is, well, knee slash foot, either lower leg. So his lower leg can go that far back. It will connect with bits of his top leg, and it can also go all the way that way to the front, which isn't too bad. Why you want to do that, not too sure. It does actually look quite weird because it looks like that should be the front of his leg. There you go. He does have a little bit of left and right swivel in that joint as well, so it's definitely a bit of a ball joint. So he does have a little bit of that left and right, which isn't too bad. It's useful for posing, but that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much the full articulation that is, well, possible with this particular Groot set. So that's actually quite good. It does mean that when you go to displaying Groot, wherever you may display him, you will have some options of putting him into a bit of a dynamic pose. Now, in terms of general final thoughts, the build is fine, so there's definitely nothing bad about the build. It's definitely quite enjoyable. Adequate parts count. If I had to have a bit of a criticism, of all these humanoid type builds between Groot, Iron Man, and at the point of this recording, the 3 new Spider-Man sets, Groot is the most expensive, at least he was locally. I'll have to build the other 4 sets to see if that's justified. Based on initial looks, it could be, but he is the priciest of them, so depending if you have any budget restrictions, that could be a bit of a pain point. So definitely something to keep in mind. So looks are fine, price point, it could be a lot worse, suffice to say. I do like the little inclusions, they were quite nice. What else to say? I mean, overall, it is a really solid build. If I did have any criticisms, it would be, 1, his head is quite top heavy. Now, to flip that criticism around, his head build is very interesting. His head build is also pretty much all of bag number 3, but I was pleasantly surprised, and especially if you look at his head. I mean, that head, Groot being more of a biological / humanoid, just looking at how the head has been done actually has that nice curvature you would expect in a more humanoid form and not necessarily a mechanical form. So I can see why his head is top heavy. It is definitely a very unique build, and no doubt it's probably taken some inspiration from the various Star Wars and the Marvel busts series. So it's not a bad thing that it's top heavy. Like, it's got some unique build factors in it, but it is something that can be a small pain point. Plus, it would be interesting to see what happens over time if, because the head is heavy, if it starts to put a lot of stress on that ball joint in the neck. In terms of the rest of Groot, articulation surprisingly is quite good. The arms, I will say, are relatively flawless for this particular type of set. would have been nice to have a bit more of hip mobility, well, hip articulation, not so much mobility, articulation for mobility, just so that he could maybe do his legs, well, I dare say, like almost doing some splits and things like that, but at the same time, going back to what I said about heavy head, I'm sure if I took these out, I could easily get the mobility I wanted, but then I would probably risk compromising some of the robustness of the structure. Unlikely it's going to actually like pop off. I mean, I remember putting that piece on, but yeah, those grey parts do well and truly keep that part secure. But yes, it would have been nice to have a little bit more articulation within some of these joints, but I think for what is there is actually quite impressive. So, would I recommend this I Am Groot set? I will say yes. Yes, I would. Now, I was actually quite skeptical about this set to begin with, given that I usually get drawn towards mecha, but for some reason I saw the set, this was before it was released, and thought, Groot is actually kind of cute. So here we are. This is why we have a I Am Groot set now. And now that I've built it, I would actually say I am glad I picked it up. It's definitely one of those sets that's, if you see it, definitely grab it, just because it does seem to take a few weeks to come back into restock. At least that's what I've noticed from local retail. Online, probably not as troublesome, but definitely something to keep in mind. So yes, that pretty much brings us to an end of the review of the I Am Groot set. Definitely 2 thumbs up from me. I did thoroughly enjoy the build, and obviously going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, a huge shout out once again to Alarm Red Media, and please, if you have time, definitely check out the Joy of Bricking video list that they have. There's definitely a few Lego sets there that I don't have, so I probably wouldn't do the build along, but the I Am Groot was definitely a very worthwhile experience, so links will be in the description, and probably cards and everything, so I'm just going to link and reference as much as I can to their content. So once again, thank you very much for doing that, and I definitely look forward to seeing what else you have, and hopefully do some more shout outs to you. Thank you very much for watching this very somewhat disjointed review video of I Am Groot. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel. I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account, link below. Stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in a future video. See ya.